The Walmart FLW Tour stops in Morgan City, Louisiana for the first time ever. The second event of the 2003 season introduces a brand new body of water for many of the FLW pros. Hank Parker will visit with three who may have an edge and find out what's working in the Atchafalaya Basin. We'll preview what it will take to win and which pros may pick up a boost in the season standings starting right now on FLW Outdoors. Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of FLW Outdoors. We're joining you from the second stop on the FLW Tour, Louisiana's Atchafalaya Basin.
Our first stop was Lake Okeechobee, 500,000 acres, but Hank, the Atchafalaya Basin is 500,000 and much more. How do these anglers decide where they're going to fish?
This is unlimited. This is ideal tournament waters because there's no limit to where you can go. You're not going to be on top of each other. You're going to be able to go and find your kind of water. I mean, we got tidal water, we've got muddy water, we've got clear water. I don't say clear, we've got stained water. What they call clear water is still stained water. So you got a lot of variation of water and all kind of cover. You got grass, you got stumps, you got cypress trees, everything you can imagine. So there is a lot of things to contend with here at this tournament.
And navigation is going to be a key as well because the Big O, Lake Okeechobee, was very simple. It's just literally a big circle. We've got cuts, we've got rivers, we've got all different kinds of places these anglers could go and even get lost.
I'll bet you there'll be people in this event that will find fish in practice that will never find them during the tournament. There is so many cuts and canals, I mean, you can get lost easy.
And a long run might be in order for some of these anglers. How far would an angler need to go or really want to go to catch fish?
You know, I thought that would be a big factor because I've heard people talking about running all the way to Venice, which is a 2-hour run from here. But after fishing, I think that a lot of people are going to be able to find their fish closer, and you're going to have to spend some time because a limit's not going to do it for you. A limit won't make the cut. There are going to be lots and lots of limits, so you're going to have to get a bigger grade of fish. So people are going to have to use their time to catch bigger fish, and I don't know that a long run is going to be a factor here.
You talked to three anglers in this event with unique perspectives on how they're going to fish it. What did they tell you?
Well, we talked to David Dudley, the $700,000 man. He's sharp as a tack, and he's got a game plan going. We got to talk with Greg Hackney, who is a Louisiana boy, maybe a home field advantage. Then Alton Jones, who is a master at putting a game plan together. So we fish with some great guys, and they're very knowledgeable. It's going to be interesting to see how they fare in this event.
Oh, we've got that to look forward to with Hank Parker and those three top pros on the FLW Tour. And also Taylor and I will come back next with a preview of this massive and very complex body of water, Louisiana's Atchafalaya Basin.
Here's this week's Field and Stream trivia question. Which of the following will largemouth bass eat? Other fish, snakes, frogs, or all of the above? Which of the following will the largemouth bass eat? As any good angler knows, it's D, all of the above.
Welcome back to FLW Outdoors. We're joining you from the second stop on the FLW Tour, Louisiana's Atchafalaya Basin. And Taylor, when we talk about this body of water, easily the largest our anglers will face all year.
Yeah. For example, these are the satellite maps that anglers use to find their way around. There are really no good topographical maps of this area. They've got to use satellite photography to find their way, and there is so much space to fish here. So that's one of the keys the anglers must remember. As you watch this preview of the basin, keep in mind they use these maps and how hard it is to get around the wonderful and expansive Atchafalaya Basin. The Atchafalaya Basin doesn't really go on forever. It only seems like it. The basin is the immense natural floodplain of the Atchafalaya River and stretches over 500,000 acres from the Mississippi to the Gulf of Mexico. Hardwood swamps, bayous, and lakes make the Atchafalaya Basin an angler's dream, especially those who love shallow, stained water.
It's a really good area. I'm really looking forward to it because it's a shallow water fisherman's paradise. There's lots of cypress trees, a lot of grass vegetation. It's, flipping and spinnerbaiting are going to be the prime techniques, and that's what I love to do. So I'm really looking forward to going down there.
Well, parts of it will look just like Lake Okeechobee, and other parts of it will look kind of like the Mobile Delta or Pascagoula. It's river channels with oxbows and bow channels off the river.
Water levels in the basin dictate where to fish, and anglers like Greg Hackney and Satsuma, Alabama's Jason Kilpatrick, who lives in the Mobile Delta, may have a leg up. Kilpatrick was third at last year's M1, also fished on tidal water.
Well, the Atchafalaya Basin is going to fish basically like two different fisheries. You're going to have the upriver section, which is more like what I'm accustomed to in the Mobile Delta. You're going to have a lot of backwater, cypress bottoms, big round bottom cypresses. People are going to be catching them on jigs and crankbait. That's more of a woody fishery. On the bottom end, you're going to have a lot of anglers that make the 40, 45-minute run to Bayou Black. Down there, you'll find more of a marshy area. Guys will be catching them on little small spinner baits, and 10 to 12-pound limits will be pretty common down there. You'll be fishing eelgrass, milfoil, that type of thing. So it'll be completely two different fisheries.
And all over the basin, you'll find long canals dug by oil and gas companies. They're everywhere. They hold fish, and they may hold the key to this tournament. Tidal water competition has become a regular part of the FLW Tour. In 2000, 23-year-old rookie Scott Martin made a long run from Biloxi, Mississippi, and won by fishing Mobile Bay. Tommy Biffle won the next year on the Pascagoula River. And at the 2002 M1 on the Mobile Delta, David Dudley and his pole and chainsaw buzzed into an isolated lake and won a huge paycheck. You'll see more of Dudley's thrilling adventure later in the show. But the tidal water of the Atchafalaya Basin is uniquely Louisiana through and through, rich in crawfish and home to at least 85 varieties of fish. This week, none more sought after than the largemouth bass.
Here's a look at your Banana Boat outdoor conditions. On Wednesday and Thursday, partly sunny to mostly cloudy skies, highs in the upper 60s. On Friday, we have a chance of showers as our temperatures will reach into the 70s. And on Saturday, a 60% chance of thunderstorms. Your UV index looks like this: 4s on Wednesday and Thursday, and by Saturday, we'll drop down to a 2.
Well, the possibilities of this body of water are endless because, in fact, the body of water is endless. And coming up, Hank Parker talks with David Dudley about his plan for attacking the Atchafalaya Basin.
But first, we have what we call our fish tales. These are some great stories we collect from some of the great anglers on the FLW Tour. As you know, anything can happen on the waterways of America. Dean Rojas, a Yamaha pro, has a great one for you right now.
And this is just one that's recently just happened. I was fishing a tournament up at Lake of the Ozarks this past fall. And it was on the third day of competition. It was the last day of competition. And it was first thing in the morning, first spot. We went up into this cove, and it's kind of misty, foggy, you know. And we shut down, and we put the patrol motor down and started heading towards the dock. You go into a cove, and it's all boathouses. You know, everywhere you go on the lake, it's all boathouses. So see this guy up there on the deck. You know, he's got a sliding glass door, and he opens the door, and he's looking at us. And all of a sudden, he comes walking out. He's got a cocktail in one hand, cigar in the mouth. So this guy's walking down the deck, you know, and I'm looking at him, and I'm kind of casting, and he's holding this thing on his hand. It looks like a floor jack, like you would, you know, jack up your car with. He lays this thing down, you know, and it's still real hazy and foggy and kind of eerie looking, you know. And all I see is the smoke from his cigar coming out of his mouth, you know, and I'm looking at it. And he starts fiddling with the thing, you know. He's on his knees, he's fiddling with it. All of a sudden, he jumps to his feet and he goes, "Fire in the hole!" And all of a sudden, this big flash of light, boom, man. As soon as the blast went off, man, I ducked, and what it was a little cannon with a shaft of about 12 inches long, had the wheels and the whole thing. Fires this thing off at 6:30 in the morning. I mean, we got houses, I mean, all lined up around here, and it probably scared every deer within 10 miles of this place, you know. It was crazy. And the guy is up there laughing, going, "Oh, man, I love it. I love it, man." I mean, he's carrying it, and he carries his cocktail and smoking his cigar, walks right back into the deck of it, into the house again. Left the cannon sitting right there on the walkway there, I guess to fear off anybody else that was going to come by that morning. But needless to say, our day started off with a big boom.
Hey, we are fishing the Atchafalaya Basin out of Morgan City, Louisiana, and this is going to be a challenging event. We got some great water, beautiful water, all kinds of water, deep, shallow, current, tidal, and everything in between. And we're going to be fishing with 3 anglers today, and we're going to learn a little bit about how they're discerning this water and what they're doing. We're starting off with the $700,000 man, David Dudley. And David, what are we going to do to catch some fish out of the Atchafalaya Basin? Or really, it's a lot more water than just the Atchafalaya Basin. I mean, we got millions of acres of water, so what are we going to do to figure out how to catch a bass fish?
Well, we're going to start exploring in some areas that I've found on the map. We're going to go in and check out and try to find out what kind of mood they're in. Are they in a spawn? Are they in pre-spawn? Are they still hanging out into kind of the deeper water? We're just going to kind of go in. We know the weather's going to be cloudy and it's going to start warming up, so I'm just kind of going in and I'm going to try to find out what mood they're in the area that I've selected to fish. Fishing is one big, huge puzzle. You know as well as I do. You got so many factors. There's not another sport that you have so many factors to deal with as you do as fishing.
All right, I'm sitting here and I'm listening, I'm watching you fish. You got a bite right there. I could tell by your eyes and your body motion. And you didn't really want to take it too easy on him. You were pretty serious about the hook set there.
I've said it once and I'll say it again. One bite can tell a whole story. If you get one bite, you should be able to write a one-page report on what that one bite was. Was he here? Was it mud? Was it rock? Was it, you know, there's so much behind one bite. If you were to get a bite there, you should be able to tell me, you should be able to write me a one-page report on that bite. And then you take, I don't know.
You're betting a lot on a lot of theories that you have, that you've developed, whether that's your own personal confidence level or whether that's just the way you evaluate this water. You're betting everything in this tournament. And this could be the one event that makes you or breaks you for the year as far as the Jacobs Cup's concerned. So you're betting it all based on what you believe about this body of water. Is that what I hear?
Yeah, fishing is definitely a confident sport. I believe in what I'm saying. I've experienced a lot of it. It may not pan out like I want it to be. Then I'm going to have to be versatile enough and have confidence to switch up and do something else. But based on what...
Realistically, with the situation like you got here, you don't have a whole lot of time. You know this lake is going to produce. There's going to be a lot of fish caught. And if you make the wrong bet the first day of this event and you don't catch fish, realistically, it's going to be very difficult to come back and make the cut.
Yeah, it
especially
is.
If you bomb.
Right. There's too many good anglers on the circuit for you to slip up. There's no room for slip up in this, and you've got to be able to trust your instinct. You've got to be able to trust your decisions. If you have confidence in what you're doing, confidence know that you can get some bites, your fishing ability is going to rise to another level, and you're going to fish. You're going to fish like you need to fish.
You think these fish are somewhat smarter and more educated than the fish on the outer banks of North Carolina, the stripers that are out in the surf?
You ain't kidding. Them saltwater fish, they're dumber than a box of rocks.
Well, now, you fish for saltwater fish all the time. You make a living as a boat captain, do you not?
Yep, I sure do. I love saltwater fishing. Bass fishing is a very challenging sport. Very, very challenging. But saltwater fishing, you're dealing with thousands upon thousands of fish that most of them have never even seen a lure. They're not pressured as much as these are, and they're always willing to bite. And if one species in the ocean doesn't want to bite, you always have another one to go to.
Do you feel like that hurts you or helps you as a bass fisherman, the fact that you fish for so many different species in saltwater?
You don't want me to answer that truthfully.
Seriously, does it help you or does it hurt you?
Well, it keeps my interest in fishing up, because if I was to fish for bass fishing day in, day out, I would get burnt out in less than a year. We've been fishing 2 hours this morning, and we've yet to have a bite. Saltwater fish.
Don't you think this in itself is a real challenge? It makes it fun not to catch fish, to be able. The puzzle is more difficult. It's kind of like a kid, you know. When you get a puzzle that's got 10 pieces, it's pretty easy to figure out how to put that puzzle together. But you get a puzzle that's got 10,000 pieces, it's really difficult to put that puzzle together. But it makes it more challenging, and then it's more rewarding when you get it put together.
My theory is don't make a mountain out of a molehill. If I got a molehill and saltwater fishing, that's what I want.
You can keep putting that little puzzle together day in and day out and be happy. I got you.
Welcome back to FLW Outdoors. Here at the second stop on the FLW Tour, Louisiana's Atchafalaya Basin, some of our anglers may have an opportunity to face some tidal water situations.
Well, it's really all tidal water, but of course, the further south you go, the more the tides become involved, and that's one of the key questions. Do you run toward tidal water? And it's a big factor in how these anglers approach this event.
And for those who choose to, we've got a tip from South Carolina pro Ricky Shumpert, who talks about the necessity of timing the currents.
I like relating the currents, and in a tidal situation, you have current going both ways, so it really makes it tough to understand which way you need to be fishing sometimes. Just take, for instance, this section of bank. This could be the best section of bank on this entire fishery, this entire system. But if you're here at the wrong time, when the tide is doing the wrong thing, you're not going to get bit. Fish aren't going to relate to it. They're not going to feed. This could be a particular bank that they move to when the tide's coming in, and only when it's coming in. Only when it's coming in right before it tops at high tide, or only when it's going out right before it gets to low tide. And not only do you have to find a good location, you have to find a good location that relates to the tidal water.
Anglers choose where they go, and where they fish, of course, impacts how much the high and low tide will affect what they do. It's a choice David Dudley had last year at the M1 when he fished the Mobile Delta and won big money.
In fact, Dudley chose to go 90 minutes upstream. He found a backwater area, and then he reached for the secret weapon in his tackle box. It was a Poland chainsaw, and what happened next was bass fishing history. Dudley found a promising backwater area while practice fishing, a place he never fished during the tournament until the last day, saving it for his all-or-nothing gamble. As you can see, the area wasn't easily accessible, and after a 90-minute run from launch, that left David with just 3 hours of fishing time.
Holy wild thing! Wow! I ain't counting my chickens before we hatch, but I think we're in.
But the gamble paid off. He was soon catching fish. And even when things didn't go as planned, Dudley wasn't fazed.
Win some, you lose some. You know what? I lost some. That was a 3.5 pounder right there. Oh my God. Holy cow. Holy cow. Come on, boy. Oh. Thank you, Paul Elias. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Lord. That right there, I came right out on the end of that log. I pitched it up there shallow. When I came out on the end of that log, I let it fall on the side of the limb, and when I did, I mean, I just saw my line just tick. And any time you fishing, never sit there and second guess yourself. If you ever think you have a bite, set the hook in. Just like I did with that one, it paid off with a 4 pounder. Hopefully we can get some more. That's a good one.
Dudley caught a few more. He culled twice, and you can only imagine what that ride back to the weigh-in tent was like, knowing that your live well may hold $700,000.
We need at least a 2-pound, 5-ounce fish for the championship of the M1. He's calling for the crowd. Wow. 4 pounds, 3 ounces, our champion. Ladies and gentlemen, your world record holder, a $700,000 payday, the largest ever in the history of bass fishing. David Dudley, how does that feel? Very good.
$700,000. That put David Dudley in the record books.
And that was fun to watch, too. We were there. Coming up on FLW Outdoors, Hank Parker talks to Greg Hackney. He's one of the few Louisiana anglers who are in this event.
Hey, welcome back. We're here with Greg Hackney. Got our map out. You gonna show us all the hot spots?
Gonna try to.
All right, let's go. Tell me where we're going.
Right now, we're going to the Willow Tree Canal, which is the first dead-end canal as we come into the bottom end of Lake Verret. Everything has some current in it. It's where the colder water is. Now, in the summertime or later on after the fish spawn, there'll be more so in this water. One reason the fishing's so good here in the summertime because everything has some flow to it. But I'm looking for dead-end stuff. These fish are going in these dead-end canals to spawn or get ready to spawn. They would be spawning now. It's just a little cool.
So is this a canal that's been man-dug?
Right. These are oil field canals. You know, there'll be oil derricks in the back of some of them, and then some of them are just used like they have a pipeline. They're actual oil pipelines.
I got you.
This whole country, you know, it's a big oil business in this part of the country, and so all the major oil companies, they have their own canals.
So this is a man-dug canal with no current, and you're looking for spawning bass.
Looking for fish, either pre-spawn or spawn fish.
Okay.
Both are using the same canals. And these fish will start moving in these places well before this time of the year. I mean, like 2 months ago they started. Just as soon as the weather started cooling off, they winter in these places and spawn in them also.
Do they winter in them just to get out of the current because they're lethargic and no cooler water? They don't like to fight that current?
Right, and all these canals are protected from the wind, and they get the direct sunlight, and the water's just always a couple degrees warmer in these places than it is in the main body of water where the water's moving.
All right, so you got a real strong north wind that's blowing a lot of the water out. Do you still think the man-made canals are going to be the ticket with no water?
For me, I think they will be.
Okay.
Because a lot of these canals will have 5 to 7 feet of water in them. And it seems to be now the best ones are the one, if you go in one that's got at least 5 feet of water in it, it's a guarantee. Or if you go in one that's got less, you have to fish and see. Some of the canals I'm catching a few fish out of, but the majority of them I can about pull in one now, and if it's got 5 to 7 feet of water in it, it's got some fish in it.
Okay.
And some of the bait, they seem to be feeding really on crawfish right now more than shad, but some of these canals are full of shad, but I can't catch them feeding on the shad. I catch them feeding on crawfish, and of course this area is one of the biggest crawfish producers for food.
Well, these are Louisiana bass. They
Right,
love
exactly.
crawfish.
They love crawfish. These fish are really aggressive. I mean, you can't tell it right now, but I'm telling you, they have really, if it's water warms up just about 5 degrees, in which it could do that in a day's time.
Why is that? Why are these fish so aggressive?
I think one reason because the water's so low, and it's got so many of them competing for the food, but not just the bass, the shoe pick or grinnell, mudfish, whatever you want to call them, they're also in these same, everything's pulled together. The whole food chain is in these canals. So right now, everything's having to compete for the food. And all fish in Louisiana eat crawfish, so everybody...
Look at that, boy.
Well, that's not really the right brand, but it's a bass.
Man, that's what they look like down here, huh?
Kind of small, aren't they?
Yeah. I like that, though.
This is going to be a bite doesn't mean that much because everything here bites. You know, you might shake off a grinnell if you shake off everything. So what I do is I go in and check a fish or two. You know, I try to get the bite and see what type of stuff they're on and see what it takes to get a bite, but I'm not putting the hook into them.
All right, when you do that, you've been fishing for 5 days. Do you, are all your areas close enough that you can run one area to another, or you got them so spread out you're going to have to make a decision on one way or another?
What I try to do is I go in an area and try to take it apart, fish everything in that area. So that way if I find it, I can put 2 or 3 places together in there. What I'm doing right now is I'm looking for a place away from the crowd. The area I've been fishing is getting lots of pressure right now, and so I'm looking for something, you know, that's a similar type of fishing and away from where most of the people are fishing at. And right now I'm probably an hour boat ride from the take-home. that's one reason I think the final 2 days are so good. I mean, you've got 10 boats on 6 billion acres.
You exaggerate a lot. It's 5.5 billion acres.
I got some, some really good areas close. I don't, I try to stay away. I go in and practice an area, and I do not go back and check it. Because if that time I go back and check it, they don't bite, then I've killed my confidence in the area that I've caught fish out of. So I don't go back. I just keep practicing and looking for something better. I'm just always looking for something better.
What happens if you go in there and there's 15 boats the first day? Are you going to abandon that, or are you going to roll up your sleeves and fish with them?
Well, it just depends. I will just kind of have to feel that out as it goes along. I watch how they're fishing. Am I fishing different from the way they're fishing? I don't mind to fish behind anybody because nobody fishes exactly the same. Even if two guys go down the bank and one of them's fishing a jig and the guy behind him's fishing a jig, a worm, or whatever, the guy is still going to move his bait a little different and show the fish something plenty, something a little different for him to key off of. I don't like to fish behind myself, but I don't mind fishing behind somebody else.
It's pretty fascinating to me that, and I can tell just watching you, you figured it out. I hadn't fished long enough to figure it out, but I'm watching you, and your confidence is in the fact that they're in there real, real shallow. They're not on the outside of the structure. There is a better fish. That's what you're looking for, isn't it?
Yep, that's a little better fish.
Yeah, I had me a bite. We got a school going. That fish was super shallow. Super shallow. I see you smile. You like that super shallow.
Well, right. I got a better chance of putting my bait by him if he's in 2 foot of water over 10.
Tell us kind of what you're doing with the bait and what kind of bait you're using.
Well, this is a half-ounce rattleback jig, and I've got a Wave Industry crawdad on the back, in which I also flip this by itself when they don't want the jig. And in this colored water, anything with a little copper or some orange to it seems to be, and I've eaten a lot of these crawfish, so I know what they look like, and a lot of these crawfish, have some either black and orange, and so my jig is black, brown, and amber, and I'm going to more of a black jig in the dirty water, but this is a little clear water we're fishing.
Any kind of special presentation? You flip it in there, letting it fall slow by keeping a tight line, you're letting it fall on a dead line?
I like my jig to free fall with slack in the line. I try to get off of it when it hits the water. I try to pitch kind of, say, over what I'm going to be fishing, so I've got that slack because I want it to free fall. And that way I can also watch the line. And like the last fish I caught was really active. I go by, like sometimes they'll catch the bait falling, but you don't know it. When you pick up, it's just spongy, he's on it. And they're active, but they're not that active. And of course that fish knocks slack in the line. And when I say that, the line, you just see the line jump back at you. That means he really wanted it when he got it.
Well, I got a feeling just watching you and watching how you're reading the water and your confidence level and your presentation of your bait for this particular water, I got a feeling that when this thing's all said and done and the fat lady sings, you may be up there with that big check.
Welcome back to FLW Outdoors, everybody. You know, Taylor, each year on the FLW Tour, there are a number of new anglers who hope to hit the same kinds of heights as a David Dudley or a Greg Hackney.
If an angler fishes well in the EverStart series, he can move up to the FLW Tour, and every year anglers do that. We're going to follow 2 FLW rookies this year, guys who fished well in EverStarts, who are now in their rookie season on the FLW Tour. And they come from very different backgrounds. I think you'll enjoy meeting them. Ever since he was a boy, and that wasn't so long ago, Benton, Arkansas's Jeremiah Kindy dreamed of competing at bass fishing's highest level. 2 years ago, he made it his sole focus. Now at age 25, his dream is coming true. A 4th place finish in last year's EverStart Central qualifies Kindy for the FLW Tour and the big leagues of pro fishing.
5 just like that'll do it.
For Maryville, Tennessee's Vince Engel, the road to the FLW has been longer and different. 26 years longer and oh so different.
See how that feels. Does that feel better to you?
Engel comes to pro fishing from a long and successful career as a dentist. But like Kindy, he's got a real knack for catching fish. And when he placed 3rd in the EverStart Eastern, he qualified for the FLW Tour. The doctor plans to keep practicing and compete as a 51-year-old rookie. So Jeremiah Kindy and Vince Engel approach their FLW rookie seasons from vastly different perspectives. Kindy hoping it's the next step to fishing stardom.
I can't wait. I've been dreaming about it for the past 2 years, just about every night, so I'm ready.
And Engel as an unexpected bonus to an already full life.
Here's a little bite.
And the kind of pleasure best savored by one accustomed to hard work.
Boy, sure is nice to be fishing this morning. I fished 10 days in a row, and it's feeling as good today as it did on day one. Love it.
Now, Kindy's pure love for fishing is no less intense, but his passion comes tempered by reality.
I got married last year in July. The best move I made, I think. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for her talking me into it. Every time I start doubting myself, she just kicks me in the rump and says, get back out there. So.
And it's ironic that the middle-aged Engel approaches fishing with such youthful exuberance.
Come on, baby, bite that thing again, and I'll extract a tooth on you.
While Kindy, only a few years removed from high school, can't really afford that luxury.
She's in nursing school right now. She's got one more year. And that's why it was so hard for me to decide to go ahead and go out and do it this year, because the money's really hard right now because she is in nursing school and she can't work. But it's all going to work out. It always does.
And fishing is such a great sport. It's, you know, it's food for the soul for me. It just absolutely is wonderful. It relaxes me when I'm out of this office. I come back to this office and I'm a new person. I'm fresh and dentistry is easy.
As much as their backgrounds differ, Engel and Kindy come to their rookie season with similar stellar fishing credentials. Both qualified for the EverStart Championship and both made the semifinals, Engel ending up 6th. But can they duplicate that success on the demanding FLW Tour, which year after year draws the best anglers in the world?
I think I'm going to do good. You know, I've top 10 the last 6 out of 7 EverStarts. And, you know, EverStarts are no pushovers. Those are no babies. You got some tremendous fishermen in the EverStart. And I know how it's done. I may be a rookie, but I'm not really a rookie.
I really feel like what I'm expecting to do is to go out, have some good finishes, make the championship, pay for my entries next year, and go at it again. And just work from that and go at it. Oh, it's tough.
Well, these guys stepped up. They felt the pressure for the first time. How'd they do in their first event?
Well, keep in mind that Jeremiah and Vince were consistently in the top 10 in EverStart events. But at Okeechobee, Jeremiah finished 173rd, Vince was 149th. Welcome to the big league.
Well, when we come back, Hank Parker hits the water with Yamaha Pro Alton Jones.
I think this place may work, Hank.
See here, this is the difference between a tournament fisherman and a TV fisherman. TV fishermen take all kind of time. Come on, baby, jump for me. Jump for me.
Hey, come up. Now I'm going to make you check the hooks off if you catch another one like that.
I won't do it. I promise I won't. How confident are you? You've been here a day and a half now. You've had about 15 bites. How confident are you in getting a limit?
I'm real confident that I can get a limit. You know, I'm not finding, you know, canals that are just loaded with fish where you know, catch 20 fish going down one canal. But what I'm finding is really a pattern, and that fish you just caught kind of confirms it for me. Is we're fishing a lot of bank and we're not getting much, but when we're within 50 yards of that intersection back there, you caught one. And that's what I'm going to be really running is staying in these dead ends. But anytime there's a little natural drain that runs into them, I'm going to stay kind of close to those.
Right there?
Yeah, see the little mud boil there?
The Wheeler deal last year, you led that thing for 3 days, and it was, I mean, it looked as if you had it in hand. What does that do to your confidence when you have a tournament? You almost feel like with the lead you had is you culled down and eliminated the days and started back over it. I mean, it just looked like you were in complete control and it was yours, and then to lose it. Does that affect your confidence?
It doesn't affect my confidence. It affects my checkbook. You know, more than anything else. There it is. It's a good one. That's a better one. There he is. It's a big one, it's a bass. It's a good fish, 5-pounder. Oh yeah, thank you, baby. I knew this was the time it was here. Maybe it's a 4-pounder, but I'll take it, maybe. Oh yes. Oh yeah. Oh, thank you, Lord Jesus. Sometimes patience pays off. You just gotta stick with your game plan when you know there's big ones around. You know, 2 more bites like this, and it'll be over. I don't know if I'll get him or not, but I'm gonna try my best.
Do you feel like, did you second guess that particular event at all, what you could have done differently the last day to, or did you say, hey, I caught what I thought I needed and it just wasn't enough to win this time?
Well, that's
there you go, that was a bite.
That was a bite. That particular event, you know, you always go back and you wonder if you could have done something different, but with the school of fish that I was on and the kind of fish I had been catching, leaving that school of fish was not an option. There was no other choice I could make. 3 days in a row, guys have been trying to catch the kind of fish I've been catching. 175 guys hadn't been able to find that kind of fish. So, you know, I have no regrets about that. Believe me, I'd love to finish third in every tournament I fish. If I never win another one, I'll take third in every one of them. Boy, that's a bass. Look at there. You know what, we got to get out of this now. I don't want to stick any more of these fish. Let's go to another one. That's a good fish.
That's what size you're looking for.
Look at that big old fat bass. You hit that red one.
It almost looks like a spotted bass.
He does. I was thinking the same thing.
It does.
Look at his tongue. He's not.
No, he's not a spotted bass, but he sure looks like it.
That, as short as he is, he'll weigh almost 3 pounds. 2.5.
Not a spotted bass, though.
Okay, we're out of this canal. We don't want to fish anymore.
Oh, come on. I was just having fun.
I know.
Well, your little soft plastic deal, what is that thing called?
That is a yum crawl bug, and they bite it everywhere I've ever thrown it.
A crawl bug. They bit it today, didn't they?
They bit it. I hope it holds up. It ought to get better.
I think you're on a little something here. I think you got a little something going.
Well, I hope so. You know, I thought that before, and it caved in, but the weather should be on my side this week.
You know, what our objective is with FLW Outdoors is to show how you guys evaluate the water, what you're thinking, how you start out on a big body of water and nail it down to little areas, and then the tournament takes place, and we see what happens, and then Larry comes and does the wrap-up, so you know exactly how a guy evaluated, how he caught the fish, and a wrap. So we see what you're working on. I'm interested, and I'm going to go back and watch the show after the tournament is over and see if you adapt and change and what these fish do in the next couple of days as it warms up.
Yeah, you know, it's such a non-exact science. If anybody could ever really nail that down and figure it out, they'd win every tournament and be a multi-millionaire overnight. But so much of what we do is just by the seat of our pants, and it's an instinct and it's a gut feeling, and well, I think I ought to try this.
Well, I think you got a great feel for it, and it's going to be interesting to see how it wraps up. But we fished with 3 guys, and we've looked at 3 different, everybody fishing the same ideas and the same patterns, but doing it all just a little bit different. So it'll be really, really interesting to see how this thing shakes out.
Sure will.
Welcome back to FLW Outdoors. We're joining you from the second stop on the FLW Tour, Louisiana's Atchafalaya Basin. Let's now take a look ahead at the schedule for our FLW pros.
In March, we head north a bit to Lake Murray, South Carolina. In April, back to Arkansas, the annual stop at Beaver Lake. In May, the very, very fishy Kentucky Lake. In June, Alabama's Lake Wheeler in Carlton. September, the Jacobs Cup on the James River in Richmond, Virginia. That'll be a huge event.
$500,000 on the line, $1.5 million up for grabs total in that tournament. Each of our anglers have that date circled. They want to qualify for the Jacobs Cup in September. Now, the FLW Outdoors family has been very busy. The first ever Start Western Division took place. Brett Height out of Phoenix, Arizona won the first ever Western Division event with 13 pounds and 12 ounces on the final day. He wins over $50,000 in cash and prizes.
In the Everstart Central on Sam Rayburn, the winner was Alfred Williams of Jackson, Mississippi. His catch 19-13. He won by more than 6 pounds. Cash and prizes there total almost $62,000.
And take a look at co-angler Jerry Wheeler out of Batesville, Arkansas, and his monster catch. 12 pounds, 11 ounces, the largest fish ever recorded in an FLW Outdoors event.
From the BFL Louisiana division and not far from here at Bayou Black, Anthony Kaiser of Houma, Louisiana won his total weight 19-2.
In the BFL Gator division, right back at Lake Okeechobee, Bill Rucker out of Cocoa, Florida, won with a catch of 25 pounds and 1 ounce.
BFL Gulf Coast division on the Tensas River, Randy Spites was the winner, his total weight 14-6.
And don't forget, you can get all the information you need on the FLW Tour, the EverStart Series, the BFL, the Texas Tournament Trail, and the RCL anytime you want on FLWOutdoors.com.
And we like it when the viewer gets involved in asking our pro questions. This week's Ask the Pro question comes from Arthur Prescott in Fredericksburg, Virginia, and it's for Ranger Pro Rob Kilby. His question, I hear pros talk about using trailer hooks on their spinnerbaits and that they catch the majority of their bass with that extra hook. How do you rig your trailer hook, and when should I use one? Here's Rob Kilby with the answer.
Arthur, you're correct. There's a lot of pros using trailer hooks, and always have. It's not really new. It's getting some press now more than it has. You notice with a trailer hook, where it differs from a regular hook, the eye is a lot larger than a regular hook. That's so it can go over the barb. When you rig it, slide it on and over so it's up, just like the hook on the spinnerbait. And then you want to put a keeper on. And you can buy these or you can make them. I make them out of pop bottles and cut little squares out of it, stick the point of the hook through, pull it down past the barb, and it locks the hook on so it can't jump off. And if you'll try that, it'll definitely help you catch more fish.
Welcome back to Morgan City, Louisiana and the Atchafalaya Basin. Hank Parker is back with us for our fearless picks now. Anglers we think have a shot at winning this event. Start with you, Carlson.
I'm going with Greg Hackney. He's a Louisiana guy, but it's not like he lives down here. He's from northern Louisiana, so he's got a little bit of a home field advantage, but not so much that it actually could hurt him, because sometimes that does hurt the anglers. They know a lake too well, and they don't really hit the patterns just right. He's one of the top young up-and-comers on the FLW Tour. Finished 12th at Lake Okeechobee on the last tournament. I think he's a good one. That's my pick.
Greg Hackney's an up-and-comer. Rick Clunn has been around forever. He has fished this area more than anyone else. And he has not fished well lately, but he said recently, I'm either going to fish poorly, I'm going to fish well. He's overdue to fish well. I say watch for Rick Clunn in this event, Hank.
I think Scott Martin. I look at Scott in the EverStart tournament at Okeechobee. He finished 11th, one place out of the money, just missed the cut, or not out of the money, but the cut. And then he finished 11th again in the FLW, missed the cut by one spot. So you know he's got blood in his eyes. He's got a lot of his dad in him. He's just up and coming. He's charging. And I think some of the patterns that worked at Okeechobee are going to work here. I think the cold front coming in, I think these fish may mat up, and the flipping technique, which he's a master at, I think that may come into play. So I think Scott Martin's the man.
Scott Martin, Rick Clunn, Greg Hackney, or any of the other 172 pros in this event. We will find out who our winner is next week on FLW Outdoors. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Say hi. Say, hey, how you doing?
The second stop on the Walmart FLW Tour provided a first look at the massive waters of Louisiana's Atchafalaya Basin. The top professional anglers in the world gathered in the sportsman's paradise this week, each looking for a 100th day. The top 10 earned a slot in today's final round, where big fish can bring big money. All the on-the-water excitement of our 10 finalists starts right now on FLW Outdoors.
Sportsman's Paradise. We are joining you from Morgan City, Louisiana, the site of the second stop on the Walmart FLW Tour. I'm Carlson Wiggs. Listen to this crowd. I'm Taylor Carr. And I'm Charlie Evans here in Morgan City. This tournament presented by Frito-Lay. I tell you what, this might be the new home of bass fishing right here in Morgan City. These people have been great all week long. Not only these people have been great, the fishing also has been fantastic. Very unusual here in the basin, but boy, it has been a great week.
And folks know they're fishing around here. We got some knowledgeable local people. We got some great anglers on stage now. In a few minutes, we'll see which one of them caught enough fish to win $100,000.
These anglers have had to deal with some special tricks. They've had to pull some things out of their bag and their repertoire. They've had to navigate some very tough canals and streams, just finding their way around, and then finding these big fish in some tidal water situations. They've certainly met their challenges.
Absolutely. These guys here have survived all the way through, and we'll have a real shootout here today. $100,000 to win, and more importantly, another step on that road to Richmond, Virginia.
What you're going to see in just a few moments, we will recap the exciting action from earlier this week, and then we will introduce you to our 10 finalists today. And then we'll start bringing in the big fish from the Atchafalaya Basin, and then we'll have our shootout-style weigh-in. Then one of these anglers will hoist the big check, $100,000, a day he will not forget. When we come back, we will begin to see how this tournament unfolded. We'll recap the exciting first 2 days of action here in the Atchafalaya Basin. Welcome back to Morgan City. This is the second stop on the Walmart FLW Tour. A very enthusiastic crowd and some very excited anglers as well, because each of these anglers has earned some valuable points. And these season points, very crucial this year, because the road to Richmond, Virginia, paved with $1.5 million at the season-ending Jacobs Cup Championship in September,
including a $500,000 first-place prize to the champion there.
It's always great to win one of these events, but Charlie, it always points for the anglers toward the championship. They want that championship trophy, the Jacobs Cup, and the $500,000. It'd mean a lot to get there, and being in the finals here is one good step on the road to Richmond.
And one good step getting to the road to Richmond was getting to the finals of this tournament. Taylor, how did our anglers do that?
Well, let's talk about days 1 and 2, because the keys are day 1 and 2. 175 anglers started, and then it's down to these 10 to fish the final 2 days. But the first 2 days are critical. Here's a look back at days 1 and 2 on the Atchafalaya Basin.
Day 1.
A good map and a good GPS. Mandatory equipment for the Atchafalaya Basin, the biggest body of water the FLW Tour will see.
It's so big that you've got to pick 1 or 2 confidence areas that are far apart, hopefully, and learn them inside out.
It's just like a big maze out there, and you just got to hope you find the right canal.
But how far was the right canal? Some anglers would run more than 2 hours to get to their spots. Osaka, Japan's Marizo Shimizu found his in the Bayou Pigeon oil field. Flipping a brush hog, Shimizu boated a 2-pounder and was on his way to a 5-fish limit. James Shockey was a few canals away, recording a personal milestone. His first keeper as an FLW pro. It came flipping a black and blue jig. And if you've ever wondered what it sounds like when a graphite rod breaks in half, it sounds just like that. Shockey grabbed another rod and went on to weigh 3 fish. But the best catch in that area came from Pennsylvania's Dave Lefebvre. He already had a 5 and a 2-pounder in the live well when he caught a short fish. Lefebvre went on to boat nearly 16 pounds and finished the day in 5th place.
I started catching them a little bit better later, but the 2 best ones I caught were right off the bat this morning, and they never really did bite like they've been biting in practice.
Gary Klein had a big first day as well, almost 17 pounds and 2nd place in the standings.
You know, I was catching all my fish off of dead wood, you know, flipping a rattleback jig, a black-blue rattleback jig, what I like to do. And, you know, the whole key to fishing an area like this is you have to be in an area that's got fish.
But 2nd-year pro J.T. Kenny set the pace on day 1. His 17 pounds 2 ounces included a 5.5-pounder that was big bass of the day. His performance brought him the media spotlight and the lead.
I caught my first 3 on a Berkeley jig, and as the sun really started warming the water up, I noticed the water temperature was coming up, the fish started moving high, and I started throwing a spinnerbait, really burning it past the stumps.
Atchafalaya Basin. Day 2.
Sunrise came on day 2 with many anglers wondering where they'd stumbled the day before. A big majority failed to weigh a limit, and now those within reach of the top 10 had to figure out how to make up ground. Kevin Van Dam stood in 25th.
I've got a couple spots that I've caught a few fish, and you just got to go back when the bite's this tough and you get a few, you know there ought to be some more. So.
But fishing can be the most frustrating of sports. Just ask Tennessee pro Dwayne Horton. He just missed what he thought was a 5-pounder. Horton later caught that fish and made a move on the leaderboard. Not far away, North Carolina's Chris Elliott got into what appeared to be a nice fish, but it failed to measure 14 inches, and Elliott finished 45th. The bite did improve on day 2. 50 anglers caught limits. Wes Thomas employed a little local magic as he vaulted from 8th to 2nd with his lucky Mardi Gras bead.
And every time I'd catch a fish yesterday, he said, feeding beads is working, man. The fish would pull back, and most of my fish I'm catching, 4 or 5 feet off the grass line. A lot of guys are still fishing right on the grass line. I go right in behind them and catch fish.
The most consistent angler over the first 2 days also turned out to be the leader. FLW rookie Dave Lefebvre turned in his second straight 15-12 and took the lead on what seemed like pure emotion.
I'm 32 years old now, and since I've been 19 years old, this is what I wanted to do for a living. And obviously this is the best moment of my life right now, and hopefully I'll have the best one tomorrow and a better one than that the next day, hopefully.
Joining Lefebvre and Thomas in the finals, Bill Chapman, Gary Klein, Andre Moore, J.T. Kenny, Jack Bell, Paul Elias, Dwayne Horton, and Jimmy Millsap. For the record, the Snickers big bass on day 2 belonged to Chip Harrison and weighed 514. And on the co-angler side, local favorite Brad Rodrigue of Pier Park, Louisiana, had a massive 14-pound limit and took home the $15,000 top prize. When we come back, we'll meet the finalists and their fish.
All right, welcome back to Morgan City, Louisiana, everybody. This crowd has been phenomenal. They have been with us every step of the way. We would love to come back next year. And with a reception like that, how can we not? Thank you very much, Morgan City. This has been phenomenal. Well, as we mentioned, our field of professionals was 175 strong when this tournament began. We soon cut ourselves down to 10 finalists. They made what we call the Poland cut. Let's meet our finalists right now. Our first finalist is a longtime veteran of the FLW Tour, EverStart Series, and the VFL. He is one of 4 former FLW champions in today's field, having won $100,000 on Kerr Lake in 1997. He's in his 6th FLW Top 10, currently in 10th place. From Knoxville, Tennessee, Dwayne Horton. Our next finalist is in his 8th season on the FLW Tour. He earned a slot in his 2nd FLW Top 10 thanks to a 15-pound stringer on day 2. Currently in 9th place. From Kane, Pennsylvania, Jack Bell. Our next finalist has moved up the ranks rapidly in each of his 3 seasons on the FLW Tour, culminating with a 12th place finish at last year's Tour Championship. He's in his first top 10 thanks to back-to-back 15-pound stringers. Currently in 8th place and just over 8 pounds off the lead. From Hanover, Indiana, Wes Thomas. Our next finalist won last year's Walmart Open and is one of the rising stars on the FLW Tour. He finished 6th in the season standings in his first full year on the Tour. His 5-5 limit yesterday put him within 6 pounds, 4 ounces of the lead. Currently in 7th place from Scottsdale, Arizona, Andre Moore. Our next finalist is a tournament veteran who is a 2-time FLW champion and in his 11th top 10. His day 1 weight of 16 pounds, 10 ounces, 3rd best of the tournament. 6 pounds off the lead, he's stalking for a 3rd FLW championship. Currently in 6th place from Weatherford, Texas, Gary Klein. Our next finalist is another FLW champion, having won at Lake Okeechobee in 2002. He's back in the top 10 for the first time since, and was our day 1 leader with 17 pounds, 2 ounces. Currently in 5th place, less than 6 pounds off the lead from Frostburg, Maryland, J.T. Kenny. Our next finalist finalist is competing in just his second FLW event. He rose rapidly through the EverStart Series and the BFL, where he finished 9th in last year's All-American. His two-day total of 31.5 pounds, best in the field. In 4th place, 4 pounds, 7 ounces off the lead from Erie, Pennsylvania, Dave Lefevre. Our next finalist has competed in 5 CFL divisions and the Eastern EverStart Series. He's in his 3rd FLW Top 10 thanks to improving his stringer size each day. Currently just 3 pounds, 6 ounces off the lead, and in 3rd place from Canton, Georgia, Jimmy Millsap. Our next finalist is the only angler to catch at least 15 pounds each day of this tournament, and his weight has improved with each stringer. He trails our leader by just 1 pound, 9 ounces. Currently in 2nd place from Salt Rock, West Virginia, Bill Chapman. Our final finalist is another FLW tournament veteran. He surged to the top of the leaderboard with his largest stringer of the tournament on day 3. He's competing in his 4th FLW final round and looking for his first win. Currently in 1st place from Pachuta, Mississippi, Paul Elias. Ladies and gentlemen, here are your 10 finalists here in the 2nd event of the FLW Tour. When we come back, we will begin to see how these anglers got to where they are, the lead some have, and the gaps others must overcome. Day 3 recap is coming up when we come back on FLW Outdoors.
Atchafalaya Basin, Day 3.
Welcome back to FLW Outdoors, everybody, and the first day of the final round. Our field of 175 pros has now been cut to 10, and they are strewn all about this Atchafalaya Basin. If you'd like to get a good feel for what it's like to navigate all of these massive and intricate cuts and runs, one of our pros, Jim Nolan, said it best. He said it's like taking a plate of spaghetti and dumping it on the floor. When you look down, there's your map. It's just that difficult. We're here at one of these canals with Fuji Pro, Wes Thomas. We'll talk to him in just a moment. But first, Taylor Carr is a few noodles north with Dave Lefevre.
That's tournament leader Dave Lefevre, and he is south of Zigzag Canal with 2 fish in the boat. Dave, how'd you catch your fish this morning?
I'm starting off with a tube, a smaller bait, every day just to try to get a limit, so I'm sticking to that today too. And then once I get my 5, I'm switching over to a jig. Ooh, they're eating it today. That is the first fish that had it that deep in 2 days. Good one. Good one. I think it's a keeper. Yeah, it'll keep. That's a good sign. They've been just nipping at it. Those first 2 really hit it and hung on.
As a newcomer, you've outfished guys like Kevin Van Dam, Larry Nixon, and Rick Klum. That's pretty heady stuff right there.
Those 3 guys you just mentioned are 3 of my, I'm their biggest fan, and along with Gary Klein, and it's been so far, the most unbelievable experience of my life. Fishing against a couple of my longtime heroes made the cut, and it's really hard to balance, enjoying the moment, but at the same time trying to capitalize and do what I need to do to try to win this thing. It's a real hard balance, I'll tell you.
Watch out, Dave Lefevre. Here comes one of your heroes. That's Gary Klein going on a run of 3 fish in 20 minutes. The first 2 about 60 seconds apart, all on a black and blue rattleback jig and on water with a big depth variation. Very different than most of the basin.
Area in here has been dredged, so you have a lot of deep water. There's a lot of 20, 25-foot water out there. The rim of this is about 4 foot, boat sitting in 3, and this gets up in just a big flat. And I just feel that these fish are staging, getting ready to move in here to spawn.
Klein's 3 fish totaled about 6 pounds and gave him the lead. But Paul Elias was about to catch fire. Fishing very shallow and almost inaccessible water, Elias alternated between a buzzbait and a spinnerbait. It was the spinnerbait that gave him his third fish and the lead.
Perfect.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, that's
son,
what we came
yeah.
after right there.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, look at the hook fall out of it, too. Ooh, thank you, Lord. Thanks.
Elias wasn't through. His fourth fish came 7 minutes later, and his fifth 7 minutes after that. In the span of 34 minutes, he'd gone from 0 to 17 pounds and exploded into the lead. But a few miles away at Big Bayou Mallet, Jimmy Millsaps had his spinnerbait working, and he was on his fourth fish for a total of 10 pounds.
There's a little grass out there. It's about 3 foot out from those trees. I'm slowing it down just enough to hit it.
He got his limit at 10:51, and with 12 pounds in the live well, plenty of time to fish, and a pattern that was working, he was poised to make a run at Elias' lead. So was J.T. Kenny. When he boated his fourth fish, that gave him 11 pounds and kept him near the top. In angler speak, only 3 hours into the final round, they were whacking him, with Elias in front, followed by Millsaps, Kenny, Klein, and Lefebvre. Elsewhere, Jack Bell had landed his first keeper, and Wes Thomas was catching nothing, except an unfortunate jig to the head from co-angler Richard Strother. Hang on, there's plenty of fishing still to come.
Oh, I can't even believe it. And welcome back to FLW Outdoors. We're on Louisiana's Atchafalaya Basin. It's the second stop of the FLW Tour. There are 10 finalists stand out across the basin now, and keep in mind the finals, a 2-day total weight competition. So if an angler does poorly today, it doesn't knock him out. But at all costs, they want to avoid a bad day for it.
Just after 11 a.m., Arizona's Andre Moore is attempting a run. His second keeper of the day is a 3-pounder caught on a tube he created called the Boom Boom. 45 minutes later, he's working the same tube and pulling in another 3-pounder.
Yeah.
Let's check in on our leader, Paul Elias, who is looking for the big fish to cull with, but is finding a lot of 2 to 3-pounders. As we check our leaderboard heading into the 5th hour of competition, Paul Elias holds a 5-pound lead over the surging Jimmy Millsaps. Gary Klein is in third, followed by J.T. Kenny and Dave Lefebvre. It's about 40 minutes from launch now. This is Fuji Pro Wes Thomas. And Wes, you've been on them all week. 2 days of 15-plus pound stringers, and you're right back where your hot spot's been.
I hope it stays hot. Let's put it that way. I feel like we can catch them in here if we just take our time and don't get in a rush. There's no boat traffic in here today. There's been several people in here fishing every day that I've been in here. So by not having any boat traffic in here, I think I can kind of pick my time and just really take my time. I feel like both of us can catch some fish in here.
Well, let's talk about the lures you're using and what's been working for you so far this week.
Pitching plastics and jigs and tubes. That's my 3 main baits. I've been doing a little bit of cranking and a little bit of spinner baiting at times. But this canal that we're in is 6, 7, 8 foot deep out here in the middle. Comes right up and makes a pretty good little lift right up into about 2 or 3 foot of water. A lot of stumps, a lot of vegetation in here, a lot of stumps that you can't really see. And I've been finding that not all the fish are right up tight. I've been pitching up in there and then popping it out 2 or 3 times, and a lot of the better fish have been right on that break. A lot of the guys that were fishing in here didn't catch as many fish as I did. I thought they all fished real close to the cover all the time and didn't kind of sit out and fish away from the cover just a little bit. We're going to get down to business here. We've been playing. We got them right where we want them. Most sports fans at this time would be panicking. But we're not even close to panic yet. I think we got them right where we want them.
By 12:30, all other finalists have a keeper in the boat except Thomas. So forgive the Fuji Pro for some well-deserved jubilation when number 1 finally ends the drought.
Hallelujah! There's a God!
That's what it sounds like when nearly 5 hours of shutout fishing come to an end.
Whee! Good gosh, you don't know how much better I feel. You can't believe.
And this is what it sounds like when Thomas catches another keeper just 3 minutes later.
Oh, yeah, so baby!
Thomas would land 4 keepers in the final 3 hours, and he was happy with the quantity, but the lack of quality cost him in the standings.
I put another Hoosier whooping on him, son.
You take him off the hook by hooking?
By midday, West Virginian Bill Chapman may have felt somewhat snake-bit. He entered the final round with the 3rd best total weight, but had only 2 fish for 6 pounds in his live well just before 1 o'clock. However, a new area produced familiar results.
Big fish. Thank you, Lord, thank you.
About 15 minutes later, Chapman landed his largest of the day. This 4-pounder would keep Chapman well within striking distance of the leader and ready for a charge at the championship.
Where is that? Good one. Good one. Good one. Quick, 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 quick.
Also charging, the rookie from Pennsylvania, Dave Lefevre, added a 3-pounder, which allowed him to cull up to the 13-pound mark. Now, competing in just his 2nd FLW event, he did learn one distasteful lesson.
All right, that's what I knew right there. Ooh, I seen him do it on TV. Didn't know it tasted that bad.
One last check of Jimmy Millsap's reveals his largest catch of the day just before time to come back to the weigh-in. A 4-pounder brought a smile to the Georgia angler's face and a 3rd-place position at the standings.
How fat that he looks like he swallowed a football.
There were a few fat footballs as the finalists arrived at the weigh-in tent for Friday's results. Paul Elias turned in a total of 17 pounds 5 ounces to take a 1 pound 9 ounce lead over Bill Chapman, who added his 3rd 15-pound stringer of the tournament. Jimmy Millsap and Dave Lefevre were within 5 pounds of Elias's lead. Not too far behind, J.T. Kinney, Gary Klein, and Andre Moore. Wes Thomas turned in 4 keepers for just over 9 pounds, and Jack Bell and Dwayne Horton rounded out the top 10.
Welcome back to Morgan City, Louisiana. As we mentioned, our 10 finalists competed yesterday, and here are the weights, and here are your leaders. Paul Elias out in front, 17 pounds 5 ounces, just 1 pound 9 ounces behind Bill Chapman. Then it's Jimmy Millsap, Dave Lefevre, and J.T. Kinney. That's your top 5. Your bottom 5 reads like this: Gary Klein, Andre Moore, Wes Thomas, Jack Bell, and Dwayne Horton. Now let me explain a little bit about what's going to take place. We have our shootout style weigh-in. As we mentioned, Paul Elias is out in front. Dwayne Horton will be our first angler. He will need to bring up enough fish to take over the lead to stay in this race, and every succeeding angler must be able to take the lead or they are out. Ladies and gentlemen, we have met the anglers. Now let's meet their fish.
Dwayne Horton was the first to weigh and the first to weigh out. He landed only 1 keeper, just over 3.5 pounds.
I'll take 5 of them. I bet you if I catch 5 of them, I wouldn't be 10.
Stanley Pro Jack Bell was next. He also was unable to take over Paul Elias' lead, weighing in 3 fish at just under 6.5 pounds. Bell found success with a slow spinnerbait presentation.
This bait, you just sort of pull it along. You don't even have to reel that thing. You know, pull it. And that seems to be the bite that they want. Sometimes you have to reel them. Sometimes you have to make them flutter. And sometimes you just sort of pull them with a rod and don't reel. Atta boy.
Fuji Pro Wes Thomas found another strand of lucky beads at his boat Saturday morning. The beads boasted 5 fish. Thomas caught 5 and briefly took the lead until Andre Moore bested Thomas Martin.
Gosh!
Ain't no justice, Bubba.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have weighed out 3 of our finalists. 7 anglers remain. Andre Moore is our new leader. When we come back, we will troll a little bit closer toward crowning a champion here in the Atchafalaya Basin. Don't go away, everybody. Welcome back to the second event of the Walmart FLW Tour. Here is your leaderboard. Andre Moore out in front, 21 pounds, 12 ounces. Trailing is Wes Thomas,
then Paul Elias, Bill Chapman, and Jimmy Millsap. That is your top 5. Then it's Jack Bell, Dave Lefevre, J.T. Kenny, Gary Klein, and Dwayne Horton. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we will continue our shootout-style weigh-in. Next up, Gary Klein, who needs to bring up enough fish to take over the lead from Andre Moore.
Gary Klein brought his fish to the scales, still second-guessing a decision he'd made on where to fish that day.
It doesn't take long, boy. You can get me in an area that's got them. Yeah, buddy. And I can catch them. Thing is, finding that area, so look at the size of that spot. That's 2. It's 11:30. I've got about an hour and a half. Execute. I don't know what else to do. I mean, I want to catch them on a jig. They're usually better quality fish. I just, right now I'm kicking myself for not coming in here right off the bat. And that was kind of my game plan. I was going to try to start out and fish freshwater, and I did.
Klein took 2 more keepers from that area, but he was 1 fish short of a limit and finished in 6th place.
With Klein out, J.T. Kenny took his shot at the top, but the former Okeechobee champion produced just 3 fish. Just like Klein, JT's area slowed down, but it was good to be back in an FLW final round. J.T. Kenny's one of the young guns on the FLW Tour. He won at Lake Okeechobee last year. J.T., you're back in the top 10 this year and within striking distance of another title. How does this feel?
It definitely feels good to be back here, and this is my style of fishing, getting back in this real shallow water and really beating every piece of cover and trying to pick the fish out of here, and it suits my style real well.
Tell me a little bit about the order of your presentation. I see you're going with different rods at different times. Do you have a certain order that you're going for when you hit a new spot?
I see some areas that the water's too muddy to see where the fish are spawning, but every time I see an area, a little pocket in the grass, or a place where you see some small fish, like bass fry, small bass that are just hatched, when I see those move along the bank, I'll pick up that gambler lizard and throw it in there. A lizard's a great bait to be throwing around bedding fish. Just for some reason, they really eat a lizard when a fish is bedding. And so every time, like I said, I think when I see a potential area for a bed, I'm throwing that lizard in there. But most of the time, I'm just going to throw the spinner bait, just try to pick off some active fish first thing this morning in here.
With JT's departure, 5 anglers were out, 5 still in. Dave Lefevre then took over. His 4 fish upped the top weight to 24 pounds, 1 ounce. Jimmy Millsaps used all 5 of his fish to take the lead to 26.8. But when Bill Chapman's 5 fish advanced the top mark to pass 28 pounds, Millsaps was out.
Man, these fish are strong, too, so I was fixing to tell you that's that 3-pounder. There's that good. Those kind of fish, I need a limit of those, and I'm going to try to catch that one I've been trying to catch for 5 days.
But Millsaps never got that fish, ending up with 12.8 on day 4 and in 4th place.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are down to our final 4 anglers. When we come back, we will see the first fish from our tournament leader, Paul Elias, as we continue our way in. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Morgan City, everybody. Here is your leaderboard. Bill Chapman out on top, 28 pounds, 1 ounce. He's followed by Jimmy Millsaps, who has already weighed out at 26.5 pounds. Then there's Dave Lefevre, who is still alive. Andre Moore, who still is alive as well. And Gary Klein rounds out your top 5. All righty, we will continue on with our weigh-in. 4 anglers remain. Our leader is Bill Chapman. The leader heading into today's action, however, is Paul Elias, and he is bringing up fish now. Paul weighed in 17 pounds, 5 ounces yesterday. That was the largest stringer of this tournament so far. He trails our new leader by
10 pounds and 13 ounces. 10-13 is the mark to beat for Paul Elias to be able to retake the lead and stay in the game. He's loading up right now. Oh, maybe there's some fortune there. Here comes Paul. Again, 10 pounds, 13 ounces is what we're looking for.
10-13 will put Paul into the lead. Fish number 1. 2-pounder there, reaching for number 2. That's a better fish there. Fish number 2. Here is number 3. Fish number 3. We'll check our weight here. In the 8.5-pound range, we'll need at least one more like this. Fish number 4. We need 10 pounds.
13 ounces.
13 ounces. We have 4 fish here that weigh 11 pounds, 13 ounces, a new leader by pound.
All right. Paul Elias has retaken his spot on top of the leaderboard, taking it away from Bill Chapman, who has weighed out all 5 fish. He finishes with a total weight of 28 pounds and 1 ounce.
You did a great job, Bill. We got video of you out there on the basin fishing here all week long. Let's check it out here on this.
We're near Wash Machine Canal, an area that actually has no name on this map, and this is Bill Chapman, already 2 fish in the boat. That's a good start, Bill.
It surprised me. I normally don't get bit till about 9:30 in here, but the 2 I got earlier gifts.
You keep fishing now. We'll just talk while you fish. Those fish came on back-to-back casts. How'd that feel?
Back-to-back casts. Another good one. I'm not used to that. Now don't seem to be a whole lot of fish in here, but when I get bit, it's usually a good fish. All right. Don't take me long to figure out they like a blue lizard.
Chapman caught his 3rd fish an hour later, giving him an encouraging 9 pounds before 10 a.m.
2 more like that, and Paul Elias is going to have to sweat again.
Chapman later switched to a spinning outfit and flipped a tube to catch his 4th fish, but he never got the 5 or 6 pounder he knew he'd need to make a run at the leader, despite some admirable optimism.
All right. Big fish of the tournament right here. Used to fish with an old guy that I'd say stuff like that to, and he'd tell me he admired my confidence, he just questioned my judgment.
Chapman's 15-12 was the 2nd biggest sack of day 4, but not enough to catch the leader.
Bill Chapman from Salt Rock, West Virginia. Let's give him a round of applause.
All right, we're down to 3 final anglers. Each of our 3 remaining finalists have already weighed in 4 fish. Next up comes Andre Moore out of Scottsdale, Arizona. He's weighed in 21 pounds and 12 ounces, trails our leader by 7 pounds and 6 ounces. That's how much that final fish must weigh.
He's got to have a monster to take over the lead. Andre Moore, again, the winner of the Walmart Open, Bentonville, Arkansas, needs a 7 pound, 6 ouncer to take the lead. Let's see if he's got one monster. Good fish, but not quite 7.6. A beautiful fish for Andre, weighs in at 3 pounds, 4 ounces. Beautiful fish, but not enough, Andre.
No, not enough. Yesterday I just kind of stumbled a little bit, but heck, I'm happy just to be
You caught a limit today. Let's watch you out there in action.
This is Andre Moore, one of the top young anglers on the FLW Tour. He has made quite a name for himself with his sight fishing ability. However, in these waters, hasn't been much sight fishing to go on at all. You've shown some of your versatility to get into the top 10 in this one, Andre.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I'm not fortunate enough every time I go bass fishing to be able to sight fish. I can't really pay the bills if I only catch them one way.
In sight fishing, seeing is believing, and Andre saw early success with a 4-pounder caught on his homemade tube. The Western angler turned in the 3rd best weight of day 4, 1 ounce shy of 14 pounds. Moore needed a 10-pounder to get into the championship hunt. He got one, it just wasn't a bass, it was a drum.
Dude, look at the size of that thing.
For Andre Moore, let's give him a great round of applause. We're down to 2.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, our leader is Paul Elias with a weight of 29 pounds, 2 ounces. Will Paul Elias be our champion or the challenger Dave Lefevre? We will find out when we come back on FLW Outdoors. All right, we're here with Dave Lefevre. He's sitting here just a little bit on the nervous side. Dave, your very first top 10 in the FLW Tour. Is this any different from the EverStart series?
Of course, man. This is like the biggest show on television. I mean, I can't even believe I'm here. I'm still like, there's so many of my heroes on this stage right now. It's like overwhelming. I just can't even believe it.
Been fun all week?
Yeah, it's been fun. Lots of Pepto-Bismol, and I'm doing all right.
You have done all right all week long. Let's watch you out there on the basin in action. We've got you in video out there. And tell us this, what are you doing out there today?
Today I stuck with the tube all day. I've been fishing a jig a little bit, but I decided to stick with a tube. I changed styles and colors and sizes and everything. I mean, I was using a lot bigger line today and flipping a lot more than I had been.
This tough out there.
Yeah, this one here was scared the daylights out of me.
It is buried in there. At least you can tell it's a bass.
Look at me, I look like a cat.
Sneaking up on that.
Yeah, I got him though.
You got that one. I'll tell you, that is nerve-wracking time, though, Dave. I know also there's other people here in the audience that are neighbors, that are nervous too, almost as nervous, or maybe more nervous than you are, because out in the audience we have your family. Taylor Carr?
And this is Ann Lefevre and Mitchell. Now, Dave has seemed kind of nervous really since day one when he fished well. What's going on in that head of his?
Well, I think more than nerves, it's excitement right now at this moment. It's so exciting. He's following his dream. And more than I can say to anybody is, follow your dreams. It's just so exciting.
You use the phrase dream come true a lot, but I get the sense with him it really would be a dream come true.
It would be a dream come true. We're just so blessed to be in the top 10. And thank you.
Ann and Mitchell in the Lefevre cheering section.
I'm here with our tournament leader, Paul Elias. Now, I want to know, what was it like last night as you went to bed knowing that you had the lead for your first FLW championship?
Well, I was a little nervous, but I was real busy too, so that kind of absorbed a lot of it. And by the time I hit the bed, I was ready to hit the bed. I'm getting on up there in years, so when I can hit that sack, I want to hit it, But I slept pretty good. Actually, for 4 hours. I woke up at 3 o'clock. But I was looking forward to the day. I felt like I could do pretty good.
It's a special time for Paul Elias and a special time for the Elias family as well. I understand your wife is here with us today?
Yes, my lovely wife is here, and I have several of my lovely daughters here. My son is here. I have all kind of relatives here.
And I believe Taylor Carr is with her out in the audience.
This is Christy Elias all the way from Pachuta, Mississippi, and you weren't planning to be here, were you?
No, I've been sick all week.
And there was a phone call made?
Last night, Paul called and told me that he had caught me a Valentine fish and that he was in the lead. So I decided we were coming.
Isn't that sweet, a Valentine fish?
I love you.
Christy, if Paul wins this event, how would it change his life and your life?
Well, this will be the first time that, since Paul and I have been married, that I've been on the tournament trail with him, that he could bring this on home. And so I came to watch him bring it on home.
Let's see what happens. Back on stage, the Carlton Wing.
Okay, well, let's take a look now at your day out on the water and see how we brought it home today. Tell us what was working for you today as we see your video here.
Well, actually, I'd been catching all my fish on a man spinnerbait, and I had to change up and go to a buzzbait today to catch 2 or 3 of my better fish. But I was fishing, fast-moving baits the whole time. I did catch one fish on a tube bait. Oh yeah, I had that happen a lot today, and a lot of them missed it too. But
topwaters are fun.
Yeah, they are. We had an exciting day.
All righty. Well, Paul Elias is our leader, 5 pounds and 1 ounces, or 1 ounce ahead of our challenger, Dave Lefevre. We'll keep Paul to your boat, but you be ready because your 5th and final fish is coming up very shortly. Dave Lefevre, it is time now to bring up your fish. Dave is our challenger, trailing by 5 pounds and 1 ounce. 5-1 is the mark to beat to take the lead.
If Dave is able to do so, we will bring up Paul Elias. If Dave is unable to do so, Paul Elias will be our champion. We are down to the moment of truth. Once again, we're looking for 5 pounds and 1 ounce to continue this. Dave LeFever for his limit fish. Ever Start champion, now FLW Touring Pro, reaches in for his limit fish. Needs to be a good one. It is a dandy. Needs 5 pounds, 1 ounce. This one weighs in at 3 pounds, 13 ounces. Not enough. Paul Elias is our champion. Still with fish to weigh. Paul Elias, let's bring it up, get a total weight. Little icing on the cake for our champion, Paul Elias. His final fish weighs in at 5 pounds, even a champion, Paul Elias.
Praise the Lord, praise the Lord. Charlie, I'll tell you what, man, it's been almost 5 years since I've won a major tournament, and I tell you, it starts working on your head a little bit. You start thinking, well, maybe I just don't have the mechanics to do this anymore. I've been around the fish to do it, but everything went well this week, and I tell you, the Lord smiled on me, and I just executed a lot better than I have been.
And we have a check here from Walmart for our champion, $100,000 richer, Paul Elias.
Ladies and gentlemen, Paul Elias is your champion right here in the Atchafalaya Basin. Don't forget, you can get all the information on this tournament and the rest of the FLW Outdoors family on FLWOutdoors.com. And be sure to tune in next week on FLW Outdoors. Legend Larry Nixon joins our champion and other finalists as we recap the exciting action here in the Atchafalaya Basin. Thanks for watching, everybody, on FLW Outdoors.
Ooh, what's that? I missed that one. He thought it. I couldn't help but jerk.